Hi there, Dave Yaeger again. This is my softball pitching video. It is July 14th, 2018. I'm at Hampton Middle School and I'm wearing a Rolling Thunder t-shirt from when I coached girls softball with my daughter several years ago. And as you know, I'm finishing out my coaching career, making some videos for YouTube when I can. And this will be the pitching version. If you would like to contact me, Yaegers, Y-A-E-G-E-R-S, at msn.com is the way to contact me if you want to talk about any in these videos or in these techniques. These are stuff I had to use, and I still do. I pitched one game this year. It was very fun. The pitching is going to be kind of tough. This isn't going to be a real professional looking format because I can't see my camera. It's a computer, and it's bright and sunny, and I'm staring right into the sun. So I'm just kind of winging it, and at some point, if I ever get enough feedback to do more of these videos, I'll do some better ones. But this will get us started on the right thing. I do have a snow scraper for a pitching mound, pitching rubber. There is none, not out here at Hamilton. I kind of walked around and looked. So the first thing I'm going to probably do is show some footwork stuff here, and hopefully this is the right angle. As you can see, we're calling this the pitcher's plate right here. I'm right-handed. And I guess the main thing is I want to get across this. Most right-handers pitch from this side over here. And I've always pitched from this side over here. And I always wondered what it would be like to pitch from this side over here. I can kind of think what it's going to be. I think it would make my curveball move more on the inside corner if I pitched from over here. And that's what we'll get into a little bit with the pitches. As you know, men can pretty much pitch any way they want. Legal, illegal, whatever it is, there's no rules. But with women, not only do they have to stay in contact, except in high school in Madison, you don't have to, at least at this point. You can start with your foot back, and you should. You will generate a lot more speed. So realistically, if I'm here and I'm here, which would be legal, I'm still on this side. And for somehow it seems to give your ball an angle coming in. And depending if it's a drop ball or if it's a curve ball, it can play different effects whether you're pitching the outside or the inside, and you'll figure that out on your own. But very seldom do I ever see a right-hander pitching from over here. And I've often thought about moving over there, but I always figure, and this is one of the things that's different with men and women, is men look for differences, right? They'll be on the bench, and if you're pitching like this, at least especially when I did, if you're pitching over here the whole game, and then all of a sudden you start moving over here for a pitch, they're going to start to go, hey, wait a minute, what is that the same pitch? And they're going to figure it out. And so that's the main thing right there as far as the pitcher's plate is the placement right here. Maybe we'll go back to the pitcher's plate in a minute, but now I want to focus more on a different aspect. So I'm going to actually move the pitcher's plate this way, because now we're going to be more on the ball movement. So now I'm on the pitcher's plate, I'm on the right-hand side, I got the both feet there. The first thing that I always learned was to hide the ball. So, a little bit more. So men, if you expose the ball, what can they see? They're going to see the grip. So the ball always stayed in your glove. And one of the things that I would make sure there was even full webbing in the glove. And it's really weird because if you throw if I just hold my drop ball like this, my wrist is this way, and if I hold my curveball like this, my wrist is this way, and if I hold my changeup like this, my wrist. So, there's different things you can see in the forearm. That's how men's fast pitch was. That's how intense it was, at least when I was playing. Now it's pretty small. But the main thing is that for men is we hid the ball from the batter. You'll see a lot of people, and especially women, and it's like you'll see the ball. As soon as the ball comes out, I can see the grip. So I know right there's going to be a drop ball, curveball, changeup. So you can already tell you can tell what pitch it is before I've even released it, which at men's speed, how fast the ball comes in there, that's a huge advantage if you know what it is. If you can look up, you can look down, it's going to help your batting that much more. So the main thing is that I always had just basically one pitch, and that was the curveball. And I held it like this. And I was just hooking these two fingers and just around the ball. It was just like a big overhand curve in baseball. I'm going to move back just a little bit. Hopefully everything will be okay. And so basically when I would just come around, if I want to throw a curve, I would come through here and I'd pull my hips through, and it would just come out the back of my hand like this. All right. If you don't pull your hips through, it's going to be a little bit different. And this is the big thing is pitches, you're going to have to learn how to use your hips. So I just went through my curveball. That was my first pitch. I pitched for 5 years throwing that curveball in the inside corner. And it basically, if I come through, I hook it, and I bring my hips through really hard, it's going to curve a lot more. But if I throw it on the inside corner, it's going to curve less. But if I throw it on the outside corner, it's going to curve a lot more, mainly because I'm starting all the way over on the left-hand side of the pitcher's plate. And that's what when I went back to the beginning, is where you're going to place yourself. Okay? So with the curveball, it can easily turn into a rise. You just got to come underneath. And I can tell you this much: a rise ball is pure genetics. If you have the genes to throw a rise ball, that's just genetics. Not everybody can do it, and you have to have a certain amount of speed to get the ball to jump. Right? So that's mainly there's the curveball, the rise ball. The one thing is, if I'm going to throw the rise ball, the curve ball, let's say I don't want it to curve, but I want it to spin upward. I can come through, release it here like this, curve it up out in front of my body here, but not bring my hips through. That's going to get rid of some of the movement coming across, but it's going to give me a little bit more bite coming up, if you understand what I'm saying. So instead of coming across here and then coming through hard, pulling, if I throw one at my computer, it's not going to be good. That's the curve. If I come through and then I just bring my, I don't know if you can see that. So if I'm following through and I want it to stay up, I'm throwing it here. If I come through this way in the outside corner to a righty, I'm not using as much hip. All right? Do you understand that? Good. The drop ball, and then how big of a step you take is also going to play a big role here. So if you want it to rise, you're going to be out more extended and pull yourself up. And this is where we get into the drop ball, which then after 5 years of throwing that curveball in the inside corner, I started developing, basically it was a drop ball, which is a fastball. There really isn't such a thing as, in my mind, as a fastball and fast pitch softball. There's a drop. And I would just hold it with 4 fingers right on that seam. Just grab that seam, and I just come over the top, I just let it come out, and I would pull up. Peel drop, I guess they would call it. And just throw that as hard as you can. And then there isn't as much of a follow through there, but there is a much shorter stride. Right? So it's here, and then you're coming through, and then you're pulling up, and then you're stepping at the last second, if you understand that. And the drop ball is kind of the bread and butter. You don't get burned out of the park as much on it, and it just basically beats it into the ground. So that's a really important pitch. Once I developed that, that was really nice. And then you learn to develop location with it. And then you start getting enough confidence and building up speed when you start working out and getting your muscles. So that was years 5 through 10. And I still hadn't developed a changeup. So the changeup was the really tough thing. I went through all sorts of different things. And I can tell you, most of the people watching this video are going to be guys with their daughters or their mothers with their daughters. The flip change is ridiculous. Right? If you're going to throw a pitch and you come through and your back of your hand and the batters can see it, good batters are going to recognize that. There is a flip change up. It's not mine, so I'm not going to show it to you, but I do use it. But it does not come through with the back of the hand here where you can't see it. My change up is I'm holding it like this, like a side, and I pretend like I'm shaking somebody's hand when I release it. So I'm still hiding it in, and then I come through and it comes out the back of my hand. Sometimes I flick my pinky. All right. It's basically, you have to have the same looking wind up and everything for a really good changeup. And also with a changeup, you have to have top end speed. Really good hitters are not going to be worried about a changeup if you don't have top end speed. Bad hitters, you can get out. All right. Now, those are the pitches. That's the basics of the pitching right there. And the hips are really important to come through hard on all these, on that, especially on the drop ball. You have to learn how to use these hips if you want to be a full power pitcher, right? And I pitch a different style, so I don't. And a lot of girls do this. It's like they just hold the ball and then they get this big swing, and I think they're throwing mostly with their shoulder. The shoulder. I'm throwing with my whole body, right? I mean, I worked out with my whole body, and I especially worked out from here down. All right, everything from here down, I tried to build up muscle. Spinning balls. I guarantee you, if somebody could have thrown 120 miles an hour by working out and practicing pitching, it would have been me. Couldn't do it. It's a genetic, it's 100% genetics. All right. So the one thing that I'm going to spin this around, because this is probably one of the more important parts, is this right here. And hopefully we can see it, is that, so when you're pitching, here's the first thing one of the first things you have to learn is, I push in to my glove and it engages right here. You can feel it when you push in, and I keep that core engaged. And that's one thing I've always struggled with people that pitch, that they don't keep the ball in the glove. I'm pushing into my mitt, which is, you can feel it right here in your core, and that's all part of the explosion process. I'm going to have to move this camera, I think. So I wanted to be a power pitcher, but there's only so much I could do with genetics. But I did what I could. So what I learned is that not only pushing in here, but then, and this, a lot of people don't understand, you have to get your hips ahead here. I don't know if you can see that. If I'm standing here, so you have to get your hips ahead of your toes. And then you can point and do whatever you have to do from there. All right. Those are really the super main things. Obviously, when you're pitching, you want to reach as high as you can. You want to reach as far back as you can get full extension, and whip it through. You know, you don't want to short arm anything unless you really have to for some reason. So, I mean, that's pretty much it right there. Is that's pitching. Those are the main things behind pitching. Is just learning how you use your wrist is the big thing. If you throw the ball and it's a natural to throw a curve, you're going to be a curveball pitcher. That's going to be easier. If you naturally can just throw a drop ball, that's going to be your main pitch, and you have to learn locations. Once you learn how to spot the locations and how to use your hips, right, everything else, and you just have to practice a lot. It's really a mental game. It's really mental, and it's a lot of fun if you want it. That's just the way it is. So that's my pitching video. Thank you. Dave Yaeger.